The Housewives of Salt Lake City may not have solved the mystery between Heather and her black eye, but I will. Hey everybody, welcome to my channel. I am Raphael and I am here to review season 3, episode 3 of The Real Housewives Still Lying About What Happened to Their Black Eye, Ultimate Girls Trip Thailand. So we start the episode off right where we left off with Leah complaining and moaning about Alexia, who's telling her story about her ex-husband who passed away, Herman. And again, Alexia didn't just bring up this conversation just out of nowhere. Gisele asked her about it and everybody else at the table, they all wanted to know too. Leah, she was the only one who had a problem with it because she told her the story earlier in the day in the van. So now she's telling Marisol, oh, it's so boring. It's so boring. Like, can we talk about something else? Marisol, being Alexia's best friend, she tells Alexia, like, hey, Alexia, this girl right here, she's talking about you. She's saying that your story is boring. Alexia was just like, wait, what? What's going on? So Leah, she low blows Marisol and she tells her, you're just upset because your stomach hurts because the second that you wake up, you start drinking alcohol. Marisol is looking at her like, now what did I do to you? You said that her story was boring. You just told me that. Leah, she tries to backpedal and say, no, I didn't. I never said that. And then what do we see in the flashback 30 seconds ago? That's what she said. She said her story was boring. So Marisol in the confessional, she was just like, you're the recovering alcoholic. I'm not. I'm okay. Like, I know how to monitor my drinks. All right, Marisol, if that's what you want us to believe. But they all start looking at Leah like, okay, so since you don't want to talk about Herman, what do you want to talk about? Like, will you bring up a question or a subject or a conversation? Leah, she becomes a victim all of a sudden. Oh, no, I don't know what you're talking about. No, I don't have any subject. I don't have any question. No, I don't have any suggestions. So it's just like, then why are you complaining for in the first place? You know, it'd be different if she had a conversation or a specific topic that she wanted to talk about or a game at least, but you don't even have anything. Like, I feel like Leah, she just probably wanted all of them to get drunk and start a fight, you know, between each other so she could sit back and be entertained by that because that's what she's used to on The Real Housewives of New York. Again, this is a whole different cast, Leah. So eventually Candace, she switches the topic over to Gisele. So Gisele, in Miami, I heard that you were down there with a man. So I'm thinking, okay, maybe we might get some vulnerability from Gisele. Like she might tell us something about herself, you know, because it's been 7 years and we don't know anything about her. But Gisele, she kind of just keeps it very vague. Like she was just like, oh yeah, I was, you know, I have this guy, I have this guy, but I have this guy, and I'm like, so that's it? Leah, she starts whispering over to Candace, like, Candace, are you gonna go to the bathroom? Are you gonna go? So they get up, they go. Candace is being there for Leah, like, it's okay, Leah, it's fine. Like, they just blew the whole thing out of proportion. And I feel like Candace is only defending her because she probably sees herself in her a little bit. Because in Potomac, she feels that everybody else is attacking her. So she feels that everybody here is attacking Leah unprovoked, even though she brought it upon herself. And then she says, Candace in the confessional, she says, oh, well, Leah, she's the type of person that she's going to say and do whatever she wants and whatever she feels. And okay, she's entitled to that, but don't be upset when other people reply to you or to your BS. Not everybody's gonna stay quiet. So then back at the table, Portia, she says, I just don't understand if Leah came all the way to Thailand, aren't we all supposed to try to get to know each other? Like, if you don't want to talk about anything with us, then why are you here? And like I said before, I would have just went back to the villa. I would have packed her stuff and thrown it out the window. But, eventually Candace, she disappears. Leah comes back. They're all like, okay, what's going on with Candace? Where is she? The Ladyboys come out next in these nice costumes and they start performing to the song that sounds similar to Beyonce's Single Ladies. So they start performing, they're dancing, everything is going good with the choreography until it wasn't, because one of the performers, they accidentally pulled a Michelle Williams and they slipped and they fell to the floor, but then they recovered really quickly. And it reminded me of that one Destiny's Child performance. If you know what I'm talking about, then you know. Where you at, 106? I need a soldier. Beyonce was so hilarious for that, but eventually we hear, you must think I'm playing. Reverse the conversation. And I'm like, where is she? And then Candace comes out looking like a marshmallow, but she looks cute and adorable. So she comes out to perform her song, Drive Back. Of course, Gisele, she has to be a hater along with Portia in the confessional. I'm looking at Portia like, now, if Candace was to come out and perform a song on how to slide into a married man's DMs, would you prefer that, Portia? I'm just wondering, but Gisele, as expected, she has nothing good to say. So she's performing and everything is going good, but I'm looking at it and I'm like, wait a minute. Is she lip syncing? I'm confused as to why she was lip syncing. You know, she's always talking about her vocals this, her vocal that. She has a tour coming up, and yet she's lip syncing. It's not like she was doing like hardcore choreography or anything. And then on top of that, as she's performing, all of a sudden the track, and they probably set her up because all of a sudden the track, it stops and you just hear her high heels clicking on the floor. It was literally like this. Boy, you made me wanna drive back, drive. It was just so awkward for like 2 seconds, and then Heather's so adorable in the confessional. She was just like, the fact that Candace kept performing after the song skipped, that takes a lot of talent. Like, that is a true artist, and she was so serious about it too. But you know, we all need friends like Heather to hype us up, I guess. So everything went well. The whole performance was cute. But like I said before, Fine Wine, that's another song by Candace. If she would have performed that, I would have lost it because that's one of my favorite songs by her. Come and freak on me for the night, just a little bit. Size you up, I'ma get you right. Like, that is such a catchy song. Go listen to it if you have time. So they all head back to the villa, and in Gisele's van, her and Portia, they're being shady towards Candace and her event that she had with these nicknames, this whole dinner, and that's the best that she could do. And Portia, she was just like, well, I mean, the fact that she came up with these nicknames, trying to be shady towards me, I mean, I'm flattered, but I mean, you made your whole event about me. That's pretty sad. Gisele, she said something very interesting that I'm very shocked that she said on camera. She was just like, you know what, Portia? I'm shocked that Candace gave us these shady nicknames because Candace is not in her character to attack anybody or to be shady towards anybody else. Usually, Candace is the one replying to somebody else. And I'm like, wait a minute, because Gisele, you're contradicting yourself because typically on your show, The Real Housewives of Potomac, you say the complete opposite. You usually say that Candace is the issue, that her mouth is reckless, she's always starting with people, she's always low blowing people, but now you admit that it's really Candace who's replying to somebody else. Somebody comes at her at a 6, and just because she replies at a 10, all of a sudden she gets blamed for everything, but now you're admitting that. Like, the following morning is the third day of the trip. So Pepsi, he goes up to Alexia to tell her that they have the yacht ready for everybody today because today is Alexia's day. And since she can't bring them all to Miami, she's going to bring a little bit of Miami over to Thailand because, you know, the Real Housewives of Miami, they love being on a yacht because they actually have money, unlike all the other housewife cities. So they're all getting ready. They're all eating breakfast. We see Heather. She's at the table by herself, just sitting there like, where is everybody else? Then we see Whitney and Gisele, they're eating together. Gisele she's already planting the bombs to what's about to happen on the boat later on. She's telling Whitney, so I mean, what did you think about everything that happened last night revolving around Leah? And I'm like, Gisele. Like, don't you want to talk about the bacon? Don't you want to drink a mimosa? Eat some scrambled eggs? Like, it's just non-stop producing with Gisele. Whitney, she's just looking at her like, I mean, yeah, it was a bit much. So Gisele, she starts talking about Leah like, you know, it's funny because I worked with Leah on Project Runway. And again, for the 100th time, Gisele has mentioned Project Runway like a million times, and it's only episode 3. You know, me and Leah, we were on Project Runway, and when we were on Project Runway, Leah was not acting like this on Project Runway. Like, when we were on that show, she was a whole different person on Project Runway. Whitney, did I tell you that I was on Project Runway? Like, we get it, Gisele. You were on a different show on Bravo. We understand. We get it. So she continues on. You know, I really don't understand Leah's behavior, though. Like, it's so disgusting. She was so rude. Like, if she doesn't want to be here, if she doesn't want to have fun with us, just go home. So then Leah, she walks in, and Gisele, her whole tone changes. Hey, baby girl, how are you? Come over here. Wow, you look so cute. I love your swimsuit. Is that a new hat? Wow, come over here. Come eat some bacon with us. We were just talking about you and how beautiful you are. Come sit with us. So damn fake. So everybody else, they all start reuniting. Candace, she shows up with this big ass Jennifer Lopez hat. This huge hat, and I remember trying on a hat just like that, and it's pretty comfortable. Like, it's huge. And you know what it really reminded me of? If you've ever seen the movie Scary Movie 3, I believe, where the cop is getting into the cop car, and every 5 seconds when they pan over to her, her hat keeps getting bigger and bigger. That's what it reminded me of. So they all get into the van. Portia, Gisele, Marisol, and Alexia, they're in one van. Portia, she takes the producer hat away from Gisele and she puts it on and she tells Marisol, so Marisol, I know that you've been sitting back and kind of just observing everybody, but what do you think about everything going on, specifically with Leah? Marisol, she was just like, I don't know. It's just, I really don't know how she thinks or like why she says the things that she says, Portia, she was just like, I just feel like, she wants attention. And then when the attention is given to her, all of a sudden she wants to deflect. Alexia, she was just like, you know what? Sí, yo creo eso. Yo creo que sí. Yo creo que eso es la verdad. Eso. I agree. So they asked Pepsi, what do you think about everything that's going on? Pepsi, he was just like, no, don't leave me out of this. I'm just getting paid just to be the concierge. That's it. They get to the yacht and they're greeted by a bunch of mojitos. This is probably the closest that Marisol is ever going to get to a mojito on her show. So they're all drinking right away. Portia jokes around with Leah. Leah, do you want to be here? Is this okay for you? Leah, she was just like, God, okay, here we go. Yes, I want to be here. Now, was it petty what Portia said to her? Probably, but I would have said the same thing. I mean, since you find the conversation boring, do you find this boring as well? Like, again, Leah's already on my shit list, and even with her apology, I'm not buying it. So they all sit down to eat snacks and everything. They're all having a good time and stuff. Candace with her big ass hat. Marisol, she lets us know, well, I have the same hat, but I thought I was gonna look like an asshole coming here with that big ass hat. So I left it in my luggage and, everything is good. And then I believe Gisele, she tells Leah, are you good? Do you want to be here? And again, is it petty? Probably. But again, Leah brought it upon herself. So I don't feel bad for her at all. Leah, she was just like, oh, come on. Like, yes, I want to be here. But you know what? Let's discuss it. Portia, let's talk about your comment that you said, oh, do I want to be here? Yes, I want to be here. And I don't appreciate how, Gisele, you're basically using what I told you in confidence. Like, that I wasn't sure if I wanted to come on this trip, and now you're throwing it back in my face. And she's getting both conversations confused because she thinks that they're trying to throw that in her face when they're just referring to what you said the night before about Alexia's story being boring to you. So they just want to know, is this yacht okay? Like, are you going to have fun? Is this also boring to you, or do you want to go home? So Gisele, she tells her, you know what, Leah, I also didn't appreciate how you kept telling all of us, oh, can you all get drunk? Can you drink some liquor? Like, do something fun, as if we're supposed to be entertaining you like some monkeys. Now, Gisele, you could have explained yourself a little bit better with that, but I understood what she was saying. And I'm looking at Gisele like, I agree with you. I'm on your side. But at the same time, I'm like, where's this energy on your show? Where is this energy at the reunion? Because this was filmed right before the season 7 reunion of her show. And what did we see when we finally got the reunion? She was just sitting there on the first chair, just looking confused every time Candace came for her, but all of a sudden she's so easy to go at Leah like this. So it's interesting how she picks and chooses her battles. So Leah, she was just like, well, you know what? I also had an issue with Marisol. Marisol texted me right before this trip saying, oh, I wish I could be sober with you and I wish that you could drink with us. But, it's pretty unfortunate. But I hope that we have a good time. And, I'll give Leah that. It is pretty disgusting how everybody's basically trying to force her to drink when she's a recovering alcoholic. Like, who says that? Marisol is trying to defend it like, oh, I was just trying to be nice or whatever. And it's just, no, you don't say that, And then next thing you know, Leah, she sees everybody coming at her. So what does she do? She plays the white woman card. Oh, I'm a victim. I feel so bad. Like, stop. I'm the bad guy now. Everybody's coming at me. And I'm like, well, you started this by your comment the night before saying, oh, this is boring. So don't expect everybody to just accept your apology and just move on. So Portia, she calls it out perfectly. Oh, of course, she's gonna be the victim. There she goes playing the victim card. Candace jumps in trying to defend Leah by saying, stop. That's bullying. And, I don't like the gang ups either on the Housewives shows, on any of the cities. I don't like when it's multiple people on one like that. So I guess I'll give her that. But, Leah just... I mean, what do you expect? She rubbed everybody the wrong way. So what? You're just expecting them to just hold hands the next day? No, Candace, it doesn't work that way. She also talked bad about your performance too in the confessional. So whatever. So eventually Leah was just like, you know what? No, I'm just gonna go. I'm just gonna go. Candace is like, no, don't let them run you off. Don't let them run you off. Leah was just like, no, I'm gonna leave. She leaves and then she comes back and she starts whining. Well, starts crying to everybody. I just got my period because of all of you. Portia, she tells her, I didn't touch that vagina. Thank you, Portia. Thank you for that information. So Leah, she asks for a tampon and then she disappears again and she goes upstairs on the top deck to get in the jacuzzi. But I'm like, wait a minute, you're on your period inside the hot tub. All right. Candace starts crying because she feels that they're not validating Leah's feelings for feeling the way that she did the night before. And yeah, Candace, she could feel whatever she wants. She could say whatever she wants, but at the same time, you cannot expect everybody else's reaction to just be quiet and to just be understanding. If you're saying, oh, I feel bored, I feel bored, I feel bored over something personal that I'm sharing, of course I'm gonna get offended. Of course I'm gonna say something. So I'm pretty sure that if she was to tell you to your face, Candace, I think that your performance is pretty boring and this song is trash. Would you just stay quiet? Would you just validate her feelings because that's the way she feels? No, Candace, I'm pretty sure that that's not how you would handle it. And even though she apologized and you said, oh, she said, I'm sorry. She said, I'm sorry. She said, I'm sorry. That does not mean everybody has to accept that apology just because she said it. At the reunion, Gisele tried to apologize to Chris, and granted, it is two different situations. You didn't accept her apology, so why do any of the women on this cast have to accept her apology? Again, it's just, I don't get where she was coming from with that whole situation. So she was also saying that she had anxiety. She had to call her mom because she wasn't sure if she wanted to leave or even come on the trip because, you know, it's far away from home and she's with a bunch of people besides Gisele that she doesn't really know. And, you know, it's interesting because then Portia and Candace, they got into it. I was just like, no, please don't, not you, Candace, not you, Portia. Like, no, Gisele is right there. Both of you tag team her, like, not each other. Like, stop this. But Portia, she comes over to try to comfort her. And she was just like, you know what, Candace? I'm right here for you. And I get it. But why did you feel this way? Like, I don't understand. And Candace went on to say that, you know, when she has a hard time, you know, adjusting to people and feeling comfortable in front of new people and all this and all that. And then I think it was either Portia or Gisele that said, oh, so then why did you bring up this shady game of, you know, giving us these Shanita man and the Shanita stylist and should take a man, all of this? How come you were so comfortable with that? But yet you have anxiety when being around people that you don't know. And I'm like, ooh. I'm like, well, Candace, I kind of want to know that too, because if you have such anxiety, and again, I'm not downplaying her feelings, but if you have such anxiety with being around strangers, how come you felt so comfortable doing that? Candace went on to say, oh, you know, did you feel uncomfortable, Portia? Did you feel uncomfortable, Gisele? Well, just Gisele, you know, Gisele was a whole different situation because her and Candace, they have history. Portia, I could understand. Portia was just like, I did feel uncomfortable because you accused me of taking somebody's man. Allegedly. So they got into it and, you know, Candace didn't back down from Portia. And I mean, and I felt like I understood where both of them were coming from, but at the same time, I feel like I didn't understand either one of them. Specifically Candace and how she was saying how she feels anxiety with strangers. Yet Portia, who was kind of a stranger to you, you were so quick to call her Shateka man. So where's the anxiety there? So Portia, she continued on by saying, well, you know, honestly, the housewives and boats and yachts, it just needs to be eliminated because it never works out good. And then we see in the flashback, you know, Kenya versus Ramona on Ultimate Girls Trip 1. We see the housewives in New York on their trip to Colombia, I believe. That whole boat was just a mess. And then we see that infamous fight between Cynthia and Portia, which I completely forgot about sometimes. How they were in each other's faces, and then Portia, she stood over Cynthia, and what did Cynthia do? Yacht! Right in the vagina, and Portia went flying. And what kills me about that scene is that when she did that, Cynthia, as soon as she put her leg down, she was just like, yeah. She adjusted her hair. Then Heather, unprovoked, she tells Candace, well, I've had friends who struggle with sobriety, but when they ask me for alcohol, I give it to them. And I'm like, Heather, you did not just say this. Like, oh my goodness, I'm scared to see what else comes out of her mouth on episode 4, 5, and 6, and so on. Like, Heather, what is wrong with you? Candace was looking at her like, what do you mean? Like, you're not supposed to do that. Like, what? And then Heather was just like, yeah, I know, but I'm not good at that. But, it is what it is. It's just, I usually, and then she says it too. She says, when a person is spiraling or whatever, she contributes to it. And I'm like, and Candace was like, well, are you going to therapy for this? And Heather was just like, yeah, I am. Look at my friendships, AKA Jen Shah. She was with her all the way to the very end. And even now she's still with her. And did y'all hear, side note about Jen Shah? She got 1 year off her sentence. It was just announced today. I wonder how she's doing inside prison. Either way, she's going to be on Ultimate Girls Trip season 10. But Alexia and Marisol have an activity for everybody to hold up these paddles with Cuban slang on it, and everybody has to try to pronounce it and try to figure out what it means. It was a cute activity for everybody to try to speak Spanish and try to figure out the meanings. I don't think I understood any of them besides coño. That's the only one I knew. And even then, when Whitney picked up her paddle, was like, cono? I'm like, that's cute. At least she tried. But everybody tried to pronounce what was on their paddles, and everything was going good, right? We were all having fun. It was a nice activity. Of course, the producer of Thailand, Gisele, she was just like, oh, so wait a minute. So Heather and Whitney, so both of you discussed to each other that you weren't going to talk about your issues on camera, right? I'm like, now where did that come from, Gisele? Like, can we stick to the paddles? Heather was just like, oh, no, we never said that. We just pinky promised that we'll discuss our issues a different time, and that's that. And then I believe it was Portia who threw Whitney right underneath the bus, or Leah. Well, it was a combination of both, because Leah was just like, well, hold on. First of all, Whitney, because that's not what you said on the bus. You said that you were a little questionable about Heather's intentions on this whole Mormon situation because she didn't take her name out of the Book of Mormon officially like you did. Heather saw red because Heather was pissed off. I don't know why she got so mad. She looked at Whitney and she was just like, what the F are you talking about, Whitney? What the F are you talking about? And I'm like, wow, Heather, like, what is going on? Oof, you're so angry. Whitney was so caught off guard, she did not expect Leah to throw her underneath a bus like that because she's too busy trying to impress everybody, but trying to stay loyal to her own cousin. And now look, it backfired in your face. So Heather, she is so upset. She wants an answer right away. She's trying to talk to Gisele about it. And then I believe Whitney, she turns over to Portia and she tells her, well, I was just trying to be shady. It wasn't nothing serious. She tried to whisper that to Portia, but Portia, she puts it on blast. She tells Heather, did you hear what your cousin just said about this situation? She said that she was just trying to be shady. Who does that just to be shady? Like, that's terrible. And I'm like, wow. Like, she also turned on Whitney. Whitney, she doesn't know who to look at. She's looking at Marisol like, Marisol, help me. Heather, she continues going off like, what is wrong with you? Why would you say that? So and so and so and so. And Whitney goes on to say, well, I was on a healing journey. And I had a lot of feelings, and I was just healing a lot, and I don't appreciate what, you don't take your name out of the Book of Mormon, so it feels like you're endorsing them. Unlike me, I actually took my name out of the book completely. And, if you don't watch the Salt Lake City Housewives, the Book of Mormon, let's see, how do we put it in a very easy way? They're crazy. The second that you sign out of the whole religion overall, like you take your name out, you have to give an actual petition. Like, you have to print out this paper, sign it, blah, 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 and then you officially submit it. So once you submit it, you're officially banned from society, basically, out of the whole church. They treat you as if you never existed. Heather, her excuse is that she doesn't want to go that extreme. But my thing is, why not? You already have a book called Bad Mormon. Why do you not want to take it a step further? So I am with Whitney with that. It's just the way Whitney went about it is a little bit, questionable. But Heather continued going off on Whitney by telling her, how dare you put me in this situation just to impress Portia and Gisele? So Gisele, she jumps in it and she was just like, wait, so how did both of you even get to this situation now? Because both of you are cousins. Aren't both of you always together? What's going on? Whitney, she starts crying. She starts talking about her trauma again that we just heard on season 3 and how she was going through all of that. And Heather, she wasn't really supportive of it. She was more up Jen Shah's ass instead of being there for her own cousin, Whitney. So then Gisele was just like, okay, so what does that have to do with Heather? I'm like, damn, Gisele, like, this woman is crying her heart out to everybody here, and you're just like, okay, what does that have to do with anything? So then Whitney was just like, I just don't like that. You know, Heather was more Team Jen Shah than me, and she's always gonna be there lying for Jen Shah. Heather was just like, I have never, ever, ever, ever lied for Jen Shah, ever, at all. Allegedly, but I've never lied to her, like never, ever. So then eventually they were like, wait, lying about what? And then Candace jumped in this too. Candace was like, wait, lied about what? So then Whitney opens up another door and she was just like, oh, she lied about her black eye. So then Gisele was just like, wait, black eye. Everybody was just looking at her like, what do you mean a black eye? And at this point, we started talking about the whole situation again. Heather was just like, well, Whitney and everybody else, and me, allegedly, everybody believes that Jen Shah was the one that gave me this black eye. She punched me in the face, but she did not do that, and I'm not saying that she did. I'm not saying that she did. So then Candace was like, I don't believe that. I'm telling you, it was just like a punching bag from everybody. So then I believe Portia, she moves over next to Heather and she was just like, wait a minute, so hold on, what's going on? A black eye from Jen Shah? What exactly happened? Who gave you the black eye? And I really wish that Gisele would have been on season 2 of The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, because imagine her questioning Jen Shah about everything that went on that season and her getting arrested. Gisele would have gotten to the bottom of it. So Heather was just like, no. Snitches get stitches. Snitches get stitches. And it's interesting because she says that as if her life depended on something or somebody's threatening her. But at the reunion, I believe she said that a door hit her in the eye or something like that. But now here, she's making it seem like it's something else. So again, it's really hard to believe her or Whitney about anything, especially about this black eye. So then she just went out to say, oh, it was a cabinet. A cabinet hit me in the eye, and that's that. Gisele, she's not having it. She was just like, no, how does a cabinet hit you in the eye? Like, it is crazy. Again, they are doing all the right questions. They're doing everything correctly that the Salt Lake City housewives couldn't do. So then Portia, in her confessional, she was just like, I really don't know what happens in Salt Lake City, but apparently you could get a black eye. And I'm looking at you, Portia, like, Portia, you say that as if you weren't in like 3 or 4 physical altercations on your season, but I guess we're just gonna sweep that underneath the rug. Eventually, nothing came about that. Gisele, she got up and she was just like, well, you know what? Honestly, Heather, I don't believe you. I feel like Jen Shah gave you this black eye. She punched you in the face, and I feel like you're just trying to cover up, because if you do come out with it, it's gonna put more years to her sentence that she's already facing. And Gisele said it perfectly. So she got up and she said, okay, so who wants sandwiches? So Heather gets up to go sit on the outside of the boat with Candace, Leah, and Alexia. Back on the inside, Gisele, she starts whispering over to Whitney. So do you have a picture of this black eye that you're talking about? Like, I just wish that somebody would have told Gisele, can you mind your business for once? Like, we've been here for 3 days and it's been nonstop questioning from you. Like, enough. Like, we're on a yacht already. Like, let's relax and have a good time. Enough with these questions. And of course, Whitney, she's dumb enough to pull out her phone and she takes her bait and she starts going through her camera roll. Heather, she sees this and she starts yelling at her. Oh, of course, you're trying to impress Portia and Gisele. Go ahead, be their puppet. Clap for them too while you're at it. So then we're thinking, okay, they're finally separated. Everything is diffused, right? Wrong, because then Candace starts talking to Leah about her issues with Gisele and the whole accusation that she brought up with Chris, her husband, and everything. So Leah, she can't believe this. Like, wow. So she threw a whole fit about me saying that I'm boring, that I feel bored about Alexia's story. Yet you're trying to ruin a man's life. And then in the confessional, Leah, she pulls a page out of Candace's book and she says, wow, I can't believe that neck. She calls Gisele neck. She said, I can't believe that neck is trying to accuse me of being lame, this, that, and the third, yet you're trying to ruin a man's reputation. Oh, absolutely not. So Leah, she didn't even let Candace finish the conversation before she gets up. And I'm thinking like, okay, Leah, what are you about to do? She's walking over to Gisele, storming off to Gisele like, Gisele, I have an issue with you. So you want to say that I'm such a terrible person for saying that I'm bored, that I feel bored about Alexia's story, yet you're trying to ruin a man's image. And I get that Leah's upset upset that Giselle's trying to crucify her over her comments when she herself is trying to ruin a man's image. But at the same time, Leah, two things could be true at the same time. Yes, Gisele is a very shitty person for trying to ruin a man's reputation with all these allegations that she's making up. But at the same time, you're also an annoying person for complaining and whining and saying that Alexia's story is boring. That still doesn't change the fact that you were disrespectful. So I'm not really sure what you were trying to get at. So Gisele, then all of a sudden, Gisele, she wants privacy. She tells Leah, I really don't want to discuss that right now in front of a group like this because, you know, it could get miscommunicated and I don't want to do that. And I'm like, oh, so now when somebody wants to question you about something that you did, Gisele, now all of a sudden, oh no, I don't want to discuss it. No, let's talk about something else. I'm pretty sure that Whitney and Heather, I'm pretty sure that they didn't want to discuss their issues or the black eye, yet you kept questioning and questioning and questioning. But now that the finger is pointed at you, now it's a problem. And I just wish that they would have pressed her a little bit more. Specifically Portia, because even Portia, she could question everybody, yet you don't question Gisele. Why? Because you're buddy now? Like, I don't know. Portia, let me find out that you're the new Robin Dixon next to Gisele. I don't like this. So Candace, she comes in, everybody reunites back inside. Candace is sitting next to Gisele. She starts telling her, like, look, I don't like this, everything that you've been saying about my husband. And again, this was before she saw everything that Gisele was saying in the confessionals on season 7. That's why they have kind of been a little cordial between each other. But obviously Candace, she holds animosity towards her. And she's telling her, I don't appreciate you trying to paint out my husband to be some type of predator like Michael Darby. She's always going to use that zombie as an example. And it was so hilarious. The Miami wives, Alexia and Marisol, that's when they got up. Marisol was just like, oh, yeah. That's the man that cheated on Ashley Darby, right? And it's so interesting because they're literally just there to have fun. Like both of them genuinely just want to have a good time, swim around in the pool, drink, that's it. They don't want anything with the drama, which is so interesting because Alexia is a whole different person on her show. There, she's about the drama 24/7 and she also has a reckless mouth. Here, her and Marisol are really likable. I love both of them on the show. Candace, she lets Gisele have it and she was just like, you know what? You're a lying ass bitch. This was a preview to the reunion because at the reunion, she called her a bitch ass sniper, gutter, whatever, right? So this was like a preview to the reunion. And Gisele, of course, what did she do? I'm a what? A lying ass bitch. How am I lying? And I'm like, oh, even on vacation, she's still doing it. Like the whole pretending to not know what she's talking about. So that was that. Eventually Candace walked off and we never got anything about that, you know, until the reunion. We know how that ended up. And yeah, this whole yacht trip was just a mess. It was a boat ride from hell. And, you know, it was just constant fight after fight after fight. That was that. And eventually Alexia and Marisol, they get these maracas. And I'm like, if both of you don't put those away, you see that everybody on this boat hates each other, right? But they're still trying to lift up the mood. And I believe somebody was just like, Marisol, put that down because somebody could get a black eye with that. Just so hilarious. It was funny. And they get off the boat. They head back to the villa. It was awkward because Heather, she did not want to ride in the same van as Whitney. Eventually she did, so they put her in the back. Whitney, she's eating a bag of chips. She's offering it to everybody. She's offering it to Heather. Heather's just ignoring her completely. And Whitney was just like, do you want some? Do you want some? Heather, do you want some? And I'm like, Whitney, please turn around before she body slams you again. So they get back to the villa. I believe Leah and Candace, they're talking in the bathroom. Candace is giving her some pointers on how to deal with Gisele. Like, you know, with Gisele, you can't let her just run you out the place. You can't let her just walk all over you and all this and all that. Like, you have to show her some type of dominance as well. And yeah, that's that, I guess. I guess we'll see how that whole situation handles out between both of them because it's probably going to get even uglier between Candace and Gisele. So then I believe Portia and Gisele, they're also drinking. They're having a good time. And that was that. That was the episode. Just a hot mess. Imagine going on a yacht and then just getting into it with everybody like this. But I guess we shall see how this whole season turns out. But so far, episode 3, this season has been really, really, really good. It has been funny, fun, you know, with a sprinkle or a huge dose of drama as well. Like, it has been really, really good. The whole cast is perfect, except, you know, Leah. But, you know, I guess we could just take her here and there, you know. But that's that. Let me know what you all thought about this episode down in the comments. Bye, everybody. Mwah.